G'day everyone. Proud to say Barkarati is brought to you by Radix Nutrition, makers of the most technically comprehensive nutrition products that have ever existed. Unlock your potential with Radix. G'day listeners, welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors. But of course I have to share the mic with my two idiot mates. First off, Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, Exalted One.
Hola.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope you're all out having a good time, as I'm sure you are. Our good mate Bicey down there, he's down at Port Elliot, I believe, having a bit of fun. Forgets to bring his cables for his computers, but that's how life is.
Don't burn him. Don't burn him. Let's bring
Why
him
not?
in so he can mount a defence.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Boss.
Well, first of all, apologies, man, for getting the cables. to have, the dulcet tones, and a voice that would make a wolverine purr, as well as it does when we have the mic and the magic box, as we call it. So I'm coming to you live from let's call it Vodafone and some earbuds, but let's just roll with that. And also apologies for no episode last week. Just the universes just collided at different times, and it was just a bit too bloody hard. And where were we? You were in NZ,
Yep.
Jordan. I was in the Caribbean. BP, you were in Portugal. So bloody hard to do. And also apologies for making the listeners this week listen through an interview without me being involved. So, yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Take your absolute night. How have I gone, though? I mean, I've missed a few along the way, just due to kind of last-minute issues or timings or family, and I was just jotting down some of the ones I've missed. Nico, episode 100. Slingers,
yeah, that's
Jesus. Sailor of the just got inducted into the Australian Hall of Fame, and this week, like an absolute cracker. He's a absolute gem on the race course. True gentleman, blah, blah, blah. And we'll go into the intro with that later. But, yeah, I've had an absolute shocker, the ones that just don't happen for me. So, Believe me, it's not much fun. Before we go further, though, I after my time in the Caribbean, we'll chat about it soon, the Caribbean, but just a bit of a shout-out to all my teammates. And I told them this at our final debrief on the mighty Maximus, sailing at the St. Bart's Bucket, but I'm going to dedicate this show to those guys, the team on Maximus. They're all 46 of them, mind you.
46. That's two full football teams.
Oh, but
not bad.
Hey, BP, you know me, right? We grew up listening to the 12th Man. We're in for a bit of a kiss, bit of a cuddle, bit of a lick, bit of a dry rope, whatever it is. Mate, mate, we're enough Americans on board. I'm high-fiving, fist pumping, all sorts of stuff going on.
Did you walk up to the Seppos and say, "Listen, we've forgiven you. We have forgiven you for introducing
Seppos.
to the game"?
We don't use that term anymore, and we don't take the piss out of the guys that sail catamarans anymore. So, but I've got to say, but what an absolute unbelievable event! Like, we'll talk about it in hot time. But
do that.
Mind blown. But I just want to give you one little story. And this is kind of big boat stuff, what we're talking about here. And when I say big boat, the Maximus 59 metre. Monday, so the regatta finishes Sunday, 3 days sailing, the bucket. Regatta finishes Sunday, everyone's moving out Monday, cheese, chocolate block, everyone trying to get out, all ferries cancelled.
Yep, nice.
So all ferries cancelled. And what on earth do I do? I'm catching a flight from St. Martin at 2:30 p.m. It's now 10 a.m. and I have to get to St. Martin. And everyone's in a bit of a scurry. And this guy Connor actually says to me, Connor, hey, Bicey, just go with those guys. So I jump in this little Jimny. We go to the airport. On the way, the guy who's driving, he's on his phone, calls a helicopter company. Hey, we need to get these guys to St. Martin. They've got some flights to catch. We walk in. We do all the stuff you need to do, passports, all that sort of stuff. It comes time to pay. And it wasn't super substantial. And here I am. I've got no coverage on my phone, got no phone data. And I'm trying to transfer some money from my debit account into the credit account because they take credit cards. Just doesn't happen for me. And this lady who was with us says, oh, I can pay for you. We'll just sort it out later. And I'm like, oh, so thankful. Made it happen. So, by the way, I forget your name, but if you're listening, can you send me your details?
Nice. And then on your board the helicopter to your destination.
Anyway, and admittedly, I haven't done the chopper before, and it was pretty cool.
It was very cool.
Super cool stuff.
It's very cool.
It was like 20 miles to get to St. Martin, so it wasn't a major, but just running into everyone, and it was a massive flurry at the airport at St. Martin, St. Bart, then at St. Martin, because everyone's trying to get on all these other flights and stuff. But man, that's when you see some serious fever going on. So anyway, that was, we'll talk about the results and all those sorts of things, but big shout out to the Maximus team. Made me feel pretty much at home. Had a fantastic time, spent a maximum of 8 hours on the island in 8 days.
Oh, wow. Too much fun.
One, I was staying on the boat, and two, you don't do things in halves on super yachts. Like everything takes a day.
Yep.
Like, let's just take the main off. Right, we need 38 people, and it will take us a day to do it. So anyway, cool stuff. So, but results coming in. And anyway, I hope you blokes had a good week or two.
Well, we're near as exciting as that, but I can tell you what, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll move on, boys. Before we bring in our special guest, it has been a bit of a tough week. It's the week of death, I'm afraid. Obviously, it's the anniversary of the passing of Fish during the ocean race. Australian Sailing also lost a former president, Andrew Plimpton, AM, who passed away on 24th of March. Long battle with cancer, so commiserations to Andrew's family. Our good mate Luigi Maffioli lost his father this week as well. Gottfriedi Maffioli, the rope manufacturers, we've got very close to Luigi over the years, and he's a lovely man, and I never got to meet his dad, but again, condolences to the Maffioli family for there.
And fortunately, I was lucky enough to shake Mr. Maffioli's hand when I was in visiting Luigi and Rosella in the factory a few years ago, and condolences there. But go on. And
another one that was really another very painful one, obviously the loss of Gautier Sargent. So Gautier died of a heart attack this week. He's the lead.
This is just quite astounding, really, isn't it? This was just sudden and
unexpected. Couldn't believe it. Lead sail designer for North Sails, and just a great bloke to hang out with. And geez, they hit home, didn't they? It was Of course.
Well, I'll just talk about Plimo quickly. And I've been fortunate enough to be included in a bit of a group chat going on about Plimo and what he has done, what he's achieved, and everyone sending their condolences in. And I mean, he's one of those guys that, everyone liked. He did a fantastic job at the administration point of view, not to mention a bloody cracking of yachty as well. But it was interesting what get in this group that's going around, and a lot of the listeners would be part of this as well. But how nice he was and all this stuff and all these good stories. But now we're starting to get some really in-depth stories, which is cool, and that's Plimo all over. Fortunate enough to meet him a couple of times, and got some really good mates who are besties with him. So condolences. And just from a personal point of view, Gordier, holy shit, that blew my mind when I heard what was going on. Having, almost Gordier walked into, and I think it was Moose put a post out or a bit of a comment on one of the Facebook things. He walked in as a fresh face French kid in NZ 25 years ago into North Sales. And he's basically, he's now Gautier went through and he ran the 3L loft, which turned into the 3I loft in the Nimbin, which myself and Nathan Quirk, shout out to Nathan, hope you're doing all right, mate. But we went and visited Gautier, stayed with him, spent time with him over there and been involved in many campaigns that he was part of, and devastating. And I mean, not sure what there is to learn, but because he was one of the guys that lived at what we'd call it, the most natural life. Yep. He wasn't a boozer. He was a fitness guy. He loved life and he was super smart. And there's a couple of projects going on which he's going to be sorely missed with. None more so than, of course, a Lingy Red Bull. So shout out to everyone. Yep.
And anyway, it's been a tough week for a lot of people around the sailing world. So, but now we can switch to a positive one because, of course, our guest this week is a lot of fun. He's from the Virgin Islands, US Virgin Islands. He's a multiple world match racing champion, winner of the Bermuda Cup. He was part of Boston College and their match racing team and team racing and all that stuff. And currently he is the skipper of Team USA and SailGP. His name is Taylor Canfield. G'day, Taylor. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, good to be seen. Back to the motherland after 28 hours of travel. So just trying to keep the eyes open, and it's here we are. Thanks for having me.
Here you are with us. I'm pretty sure you'll fall asleep in the next 5 minutes, so we'll just talk amongst ourselves, eh?
I'll work on that. Staying awake. Keep me entertained.
28 hours of travel is pretty standard for any trip from Oz, like when the Northern Hemispheres have to come south, like it's pretty funny. But you're Virgin Islands, is that where you back home? Is that where you are?
I don't know how you guys do it. First of all, I wouldn't have that in me.
No, she's an
closer to the racing.
It's kind of like the attraction of getting to where you got to get to, because you know what's at the other end, and whereas you guys are coming home from something that's the attraction.
Yeah, I like that. No, but I grew up in the Virgin Islands, but currently living in Newport, Rhode Island.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Never been there, only about 50 times.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. and probably another 50 to come in the near future.
Yeah, no, she's a great spot. Yeah. So that's why you got the heater on, mate. I was wondering why you're jabbering away about putting the heater on. So, yeah. She gets a bit cool.
Yeah, no heat needed in the islands, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, mate, you've just flown home from SailGP in Christchurch. One of the most extreme SailGP events, I think. Like you guys are in. So I think we have to start with SailGP. We'll talk about how you got into sailing a bit later on, but because just so much happening with SailGP. First off, congratulations. Was that a lot of wheeling and dealing in the background to get into the Team USA team? Because I'm assuming it's part of your Stars and Stripes sort of program that has taken in over the ownership. Is that correct?
Yeah, thank you. It's I feel like it's been a long time coming, but Mike Buckley and I have kind of been on this path of just creating the next American syndicate for the last couple of years now, and we started in trying to put this America's Cup team together, Stars and Stripes, as you mentioned, and unfortunately built half of AC75 and had to turn the lights off. So a lot of learning went into that, and a lot of misfortune, and we I've just stuck to it. Basically, we realize there's no handouts in the sport at the top level, and if you want something, you got to go get it. And
love that attitude. Yeah.
So we reached out to SailGP when we thought there might be an opportunity when the teams are, starting to, sell off and become privately owned. And, finally we got the league's attention and said we had some real investors willing to, buy a team. And yeah, here we are. We're 7 months later and a lot of wheeling and dealing. And yeah, we're on the start line halfway through, season 5.
Yeah.
Or 4.
I mean, it's
4.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's been an amazing journey to watch. I mean, we've sort of been watching this, in our little world, and but mate, what a baptism of fire! I mean, it's like you say. I read a post you wrote today on Bookface. It is a baptism of fire. It's straight into people that have been sailing these boats for 3-4 years, whatever it is, and it's just a massive learning curve you've got to go through.
Yeah, it's daunting. And yeah, to think that, well, I've been a part of the league, and to basically just to know that, you're coming into something with all these amazing sailors that have been at this for so long, is full on. And yeah, to say the truth, it's tough. Like, we got our ass kicked. Excuse my French. But
and we love that honesty. So please just explain it in honest terms, because I don't think I don't think Jordan will ever understand the feeling of one of these boats underneath you as you're going, because we're obviously never going to sail one. But mate, I mean, hats off. I mean, it's just insane to be thinking, I'm going 46 knots here. Yeah, cool, no worries. But now I have to decide where I'm going tactically.
I love how you think that there's thinking involved. There is no time to think. You are reacting.
Well, we saw that on the weekend, didn't we, as well?
Yeah, and not so much reacting in a few cases with the collisions, but
yes.
yeah, it is full on. And to think that we're ripping around this race course. I think our top speed was 46.5 knots, this weekend, and all the other boats doing that same speed around you, and kind of reacting erratically, and just, yeah, it's a lot to process. And yeah, we're getting there, and we've made some good strides. And I think between most of the people on the boat, we're now like 16 hours of sailing together or something like that, maybe even less.
Yeah. Wow.
Think about some of these cup guys that have been doing it for years and have probably thousands of hours.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And, we made some good strides so far. And, I think when things slow down a little bit, we obviously get a little more comfortable. And, we had a decent event in Abu Dhabi, and, coming third in that event was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Felt more like M32 racing than anything.
Yep.
So yeah, that's
yeah, but you don't have to unfurl the furler.
Yeah, exactly. Minus that. But yeah, it's, that's those conditions where everything is kind of slower for us is a bit more optimal at the moment. And I think as we get more comfortable with the speeds and just our routines and our communication, I think things will slow down a lot in the breeze, and we'll be able to hit those markers and execute when we need to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's interesting because I did think about you talked about the hours you've done, like was it, you say 17 or whatever it was, and the Aussie team probably has been, as a whole, been together. Well, it sort of formed around 2013 and did all those thousands of hours for the Cup, and then you probably got a few little changes, but probably fully together since 2017 sort of thing. And it's that teamwork. I try and explain to people when we're looking at these boats, they're the most teamwork orientated boat I've ever seen. Like if all the elements have to move together. You can't do something without affecting anybody else on the boat. And there's just that sort of unconscious knowledge of a body movement or a flick or an eye look that you've got to pick up from each other, like it's happening so quick, as you said. And that Abu Dhabi event's a classic example. It's lighter wind speed, it's slower, so you can just sail. You've got more opportunity to sail. It's less about the instant response. people just don't understand how teamwork orientated, how close you have to be as a team, and sort of subconsciously understanding each other that you need to succeed in these boats.
Oh, you're spot on. And, like BP said, I mentioned it in my post how, all 6 people on the boat, just need to be in this like perfect synchrony. We call it, Mike and I are trying to describe this, and, the communication and the movements around the boat is like an orchestra. You have all these instruments playing, and they all need to be hitting their tune like at the exact perfect time to make this masterpiece. And yeah, I think mentioning Tom Slingsby, I don't know, it's appropriate yet. It might be a little too soon,
Yeah,
but a guy with thousands of hours in this boat, smashes into a stationary mark. So can't get his boat across the finish line. So it's a lot going on, and these mistakes are costly, and
well, it's how quick it all happens. It's how quick it all happens. We talk about as humans, getting into the flow state, and when whether it's at work or a play or at a sport you do. Now, usually that's defined individually, and what you just said then is getting into a flow state with the entire crew on a normal boat. Let's say an Etchell or a keel boat or any sort of boat. It's generally you've got time to react, whereas these boats you can't, and that's exactly what you're saying. Yeah, no, it's true. And the other beauty about these things is you can't hide. If you screw up in your role, it's every movement, and whether it's video or audio or which button you're pushing, when you're pushing it, it's all recorded. So there's no hiding. You're on the hook for pretty much anything. So best way to do it is just own your mistakes if you make one, and at least you'll have the respect of the people around you if you do that.
Yeah, so for the listener, one thing we know on SailGP is the higher you fly the boat, the faster you're going to go, right? So that's sort of, but it's more than that. It's the height through the manoeuvres and coming out with speed and all those elements that you normally have on a boat. But just think about it from the perspective of if you're a flight controller and the skipper turns the boat and the boat accelerates and you're at max height already, and acceleration means more flow over the foil, which means more lift. And you're already at max height, that means airborne and crash, and so you have to understand exactly what each other's doing, and it's so easy to make a mistake on these things. It's clearly evident, you guys spent thousands, 17 hours sailing, and I've probably spent hundreds and hundreds of hours observing and explaining these boats to people. And so, I feel like I'm the best non-sailor person that's never sailed one of these boats out on the shore at the moment. Like I've got mastery of this boat. I think I could coach pretty comfortably. But
I'd probably compete with you on that one. Actually, I've watched a lot of video and seen a lot of data.
Yeah,
doesn't seem to be helping yet, though.
No.
Well, that's actually a point I was going to raise. So we know, you did a bit of time as a flight controller, and that's obviously a valuable experience. But getting onto the helm, how do you feel with that? I mean, it's a massive transition, right?
Oh my God, the relief of this weight on your shoulders has just left the building, not having to fly the boat anymore. What a hectic job that is. Oh.
Right. So you're saying it's actually a step down to drive the boat around the track.
Yeah, I'm loving this. This demotion, if you will.
Yeah, I love it.
It's really cool. I'm excited, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to drive the boat, and it's definitely still full on, and you have to make these quick decisions and try to keep everyone safe and not crash into anyone, and fly the boat out of some maneuvers, and so yeah, it's a balancing thing. But I think probably my biggest role is to try to give as much of a heads up to the team for what's to come, and the more prepped I can kind of make them, the easier and smoother everything's going to run.
Well, that's going to come with time, and there's no question that we've already touched on that, and I don't think that's even anything to worry about. I mean, we'll touch on your career a bit later, but I think all of us have absolutely utmost faith in what you're doing.
I've I've got something where Taylor's the master, mate. I feel like Taylor's straight to the top of the class and something. I want to bring it out. I do want to bring it out.
Go on then.
One thing we love, Taylor, is we love banter, and we put the boot into a lot of the other SailGP skippers when we're chatting to them, just going, you know, all these press conferences, you know, where they're thinking one thing but saying really nicely structured, media friendly responses. Doesn't work, you know. The media, everyone sees through it, everyone reads it, you know. Like we push for the banter, we want to see it. And I saw at your press conference, we're here to be the disruptors, you know. So I feel like you're ready to call someone out, like in press conference. I can see that you'll be the sort of bloke that will go, yeah, no, that's bullshit. Let's talk it honestly, sort of thing. I feel like that you've got enough independence, you've got your own backers, you're good. You're good. I think Taylor could take charge of the banter.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with that. It definitely bites me a few times more than none. But yeah, I try to keep it exciting, and you know, otherwise, you know, what are we doing? It wouldn't be very fun if we just have to go in there and be super official all the time. And yeah, I often don't think before I speak, which it's not always my greatest moments, but at least you get what I'm thinking.
But that's you, and that's what we love. But Jordan, I think we can move away from the on boat banter, because you know we're talking SailGP here.
Yep.
So one of us is going the wrong way is not really going to work.
Yep.
You know, as you're crossing tacks, it's a bit fast.
Yep, it's too fast. I'm interested.
One of us going.
Yeah. The interesting thing, I'll talk about it later on, but I don't know if you know, Taylor, like I'm during the racing, I actually am in the coach's box and I've got the headphones on so I can listen into every boat. And so it is quite interesting to see the discussions that do go on. Particularly the best day for me was.
Yeah, I know what you're coming with here. I think you're going to talk about Saturday.
Saturday was the best day. You guys are so funny. The banter that was going on the boats was just hilarious. You know, like it was just.
We were just hoping the broadcast wasn't going to come to us during that downtime, but you know, we kept it
entertained.
Reason, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the boats were just bantering away and having fun. You know, like it was good fun. You know, and a lot of discussion. So there is a lot of friendliness out there. I'll just say so. But yeah. In terms of, let's sort of roll into you. Like you're from the Virgin Islands, so. I guess surrounded by water. Did you have a choice to go sailing? Like, are you a family of sailors at all, or what's your background?
Absolutely no choice.
No choice.
Yeah. When I got mad at my sister, I had to find a way to get off the island, and I was running away. No, funny enough, like, you know, my parents were members of the yacht club down there. It's a very small island. You know, the water is obviously a huge part of the culture and the livelihood down there. And did my parents kind of force me into it at first? Yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, you know, at the age of 6, you know, all your friends are doing it, and it became like an adventure for us. You know, we had this amazing playground and beautiful weather all year round, and you know, what wasn't better than just going out and exploring the new islands and being in this just, you know, paradise.
Did it start off? Did it start off like that, where you were sort of, you know, going sailing and getting out there and having a look around and, you know, going for a bit of a tour?
Yeah, totally. We well, it quickly became competitive amongst, you know, myself and my friends, but
yeah,
it did start as an adventure. You know, we'd push off our yacht club beach. I don't know if you've ever been down there, but you know, it's facing the east, so we just have the trade winds blowing us, you know, back onto the beach. So when we're really young, you know, you go out and if you flip over, you just kind of get blown back onto the beach, and you know, no drama. And then as you start to get a little more comfortable, you can, you know, break out around the corner, and next thing you know, you're in 15-20 foot waves, and you know, either the Caribbean Ocean on one side or the Atlantic Ocean on the other.
Wow.
Nice.
So
wow.
Yeah, and there's all these beautiful islands around, and you know, we found ourselves looking back on it, maybe not a great idea, but Epstein Island, we snuck onto there a few times, and yeah, I don't know.
We'll move
Parents probably,
away from that pretty quickly. So
yeah, we'll stop talking about that now. But
I'm sure it's a lovely island in general.
yeah, it is beautiful. We'd tie our boats up to a rock and go explore these like new islands and different salt ponds, and we'd find ourselves in like waist deep mud at times, and in the salt ponds, and just exploring and
Smash
making
open a
fun.
few oysters.
No oysters, more coconuts and
Oh, coconuts. We'll be all right then.
other sea creatures. But
What boat were you sailing? What boat were you sailing around? Was this in an Opti at this stage?
yeah, we still
Wow.
just had like a fleet of little Optis. We'd pull up on the beach at the yacht club, and
Nice.
yeah,
I'm reliving this. I'm feeling it. I'm loving it.
It
I
does.
miss it.
It does. Like that. That seems almost like the perfect way to start a kid off sailing. Like tropical paradise, just cruising around, exploring, having adventures with your mates. Like it's like a lot of kids you see would jump on their bike and they go exploring with their mates on land, and you're doing the same thing, but you're using your little sailing boat as your bike sort of thing, and you and your mates are heading off and just exploring the sea. For lifelong sailors like us, that's just a fantasy way to start your life. Like did you realize it at the time, or it was just normal?
Yeah, it's just normal. It obviously you look back on it and you realize how lucky we were and how great we had it. And yeah, it was just I think that's kind of what has been so cool about just the generations that have come out of the St. Thomas Yacht Club, and how it just keeps sailors so I guess engaged and loving of the sport for so long, because I think that it starts out as kind of just like this amazing adventure for all the young kids there.
Yeah.
And then eventually a lot of them go on to race and do great things, as we've seen. But the fact that, at least for us in my generation, we never really had a coach. We just kind of went out and sailed with each other and pushed each other. And,
Yep.
And yeah, it became a competition, but at the same time, it was just this awesome playground and this adventure.
It's interesting because that's one of the things we talk about, like with all the coaching that I've done in the past. When you talk to a parent of young kids, just the number one priority I give them is just let them have fun, go sailing as much as possible, get them out there. And a classic example of that is we've got a lot of talent comes out of Lake Macquarie in Australia, because it's this big, beautiful lake, and pretty much that whole Australian team's off that lake. There's this whole element of just being able to go sailing, and it's easy, and just time on the boat. If parents ask, how do I make my kid better? It's just time on the boat, and that's what you had. And, that's what makes it fun, Talking in a coaching session, talking about cutting a iron, twist and all that sort of crap is not what's going to make you better. It's time on the boat and feel, as a kid, developing that feel through your butt, and just mucking around on boats is the secret to being.
We couldn't get to the yacht club quick enough after school every day.
Yeah, right.
We were just like ready to go.
You can just imagine it.
We did have one other game we liked to play when right outside of our yacht club was big ferry channel. All the ferries would come through from basically downtown St. Thomas, and they'd either branch off to go to St. John or all the way up to Tortola. And there's a rock right outside our yacht club called Current Cut, and it's in the middle between Great St. James and the tip of St. Thomas. There's a rock right in the middle, and there's two passages you can go through on either side. Ton of currents, ripping through this little place where kind of the Atlantic and the Caribbean Sea are meeting. And so the ferries would, they have a tight squeeze to get through there on their own. And we'd go out there on our Optis and try to position ourselves like with the perfect distance in between each boat, that the ferries, like our goal is to get the ferries to come to a stop. And these things are ripping through at 30, 35 knots. And our parents must just be like, freaking out watching this from shore when they see the ferry stop and all the little sailboats out there in the distance. Like,
so SailGP is nothing, mate.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was maybe not our parents' favorite game, but it was fun for us.
That's very cool.
I'm gonna ask the standard question that we sort of always ask here. Obviously, Barkarati is all about pathways and how you got to where you got to. When did you sort of decide that this was, number one, serious in terms of a sport, and number two, when did you sort of get the opportunity, if you like, to make it a career?
7 years old.
Yeah.
And you started sailing at 6. Perfect.
Exactly.
Love the answer.
No, it was I'm not super sure. I think it was probably in my early teenage years where there's kind of like an eye-opening moment, I guess, for me when everyone probably knows what the Bermuda Gold Cup is. It's one of the most prestigious match race events in the world, and
You've won it?
Yeah, a few times.
Yep.
But you look back at the names on that trophy, and anyone that's done really anything in this sport is on that trophy, minus a few exceptions. But I traveled.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for that.
I traveled to that event when I was 13 years old, and they still host a Junior Gold Cup alongside the Gold Cup event, which is hosted in Opties, and they try to invite the best sailor at the time from each country to come and like have this kind of mini world championship in Bermuda during the Gold Cup. So when I was 13, I traveled to that event with Peter Holmberg.
Mm-hmm.
Who was, one of the best at the time in match racing and America's Cup helmsman, and ended up, being a part of Alinghi and Oracle. And I think that was a moment where I saw him racing in Bermuda, and I was just, a little grom, trying to go win this Optimus event. And I was like, I want to go do this one day.
There you go. So that pretty well sums it up. That pretty well sums it up.
Yeah, but
and then I wanted to go to the America's Cup. That was the goal.
It was there in front of you. Obviously, you saw it, so therefore you understood it, and you could see the pathway, I guess. So that probably was an advantage for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for you, then obviously you muck around in Opties. You're living Virgin Islands, and then you sort of. For you, you got sucked into the whole American college system. You went through Boston College, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, it probably even started before that in the St. Thomas. We actually didn't really know what high school sailing was, and someone introduced it to us when I was a freshman in high school, and my two kind of best sailing buddies were a year ahead of me, so they're sophomores. And we were told about this like high school sailing circuit in the United States, and we're like, okay, like I guess we could try to give this a go. And our yacht club bought us these like really beat up old 420s,
college 420s,
what they're racing in the high school circuit. And so we put this this team together with basically just enough to fill 3 boats to do like the team race events, and then we had to like flip a coin to see who was going to do the fleet racing events. So we started this high school team my freshman year, and went to win the high school national championship, both team race and fleet race, in the entire United States, just as like this just a bunch of like island kids trying to make it to the stage. We had to sell hot dogs at lunch to raise money to travel to the the high school national championship.
I love it. Just like the cartoons. A lemonade stand out the front of your house.
Yeah,
man, it was real. We're hustling.
I love it. I love it.
Were they nice hot dogs though? Can we talk about the hot dogs for a bit?
No, BP, move on.
We're going down this path because we have, the Bunnings sausage on bread is quite an important thing for us in Australia. Did you have onions with it?
No, we just bought hot dogs in bulk. We had a grill that we lit up at. They gave us one day a week. We could sell. We were like the catering service at our school for one day a week.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And the sailing team came together. We hustled. We threw the hot dogs on
Love
the
it.
grill.
What a cool story.
Sold them for 10 times what we bought them for, and made a little bit of money to get to that travel.
What BP's alluding to here in Australia, we don't do the hot dog thing. We do what we call a sausage sanger.
The sausage sizzle, mate. The sausage
sizzle. Sorry, the sizzle. And you go to the local hardware store every week is a charity group. Every time you go to the hardware store, there's a charity group downstairs with a barbie doing a sausage sizzle, and it's the same thing. And that's what BP's alluding to, like that. The similarity, but the difference, like next time you're in Oz, mate, I'll take you for a sausage sizzle and a beer. You'll love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, we weren't buying our hot dogs at the hardware store, but I trust they were good.
It's all right. Yeah. But yeah, so this whole element of going and as you said, these island kids just jumping into the school championship, and you won both the fleet and the teams racing. Did that cause like a little bit of a stir as a young kid, or did that just change your thought process? Or like, oh, hang on, I'm pretty good at this, or how did it impact? Did it give you a free college scholarship? That's what?
No scholarships, unfortunately, but it did set us all up pretty well for kind of getting recruited into these good schools and then continuing on into the college sailing, like you mentioned. And yeah, went on to Boston College and sailed 4 years on a top sailing team, which was incredible. And we take a lot of crap for kind of this very basic college sailing program that we have here in the US, and that no one's ever going to come out of it as a better sailor because it's not a skiff, it's not a foiling boat. But like you mentioned, we were on the water so many days.
Yeah.
Taylor, we don't have that in Australia. We don't have it. Okay. And I actually am a little bit in envy of it. If I had the opportunity as a young kid going through school to actually choose sailing, I ended up choosing windsurfing in my final year as a subject, not but it wasn't a collegiate thing. It wasn't a something you go and do and compete against something. You were getting marked, right? Now, if we had that in Australia, I mean, it's a cool thing. I love it.
Yeah, it was cool, and we were traveling every weekend, going competing against our friends. Yeah, it was awesome. Like it, truthfully, it did make me a better sailor. And just like the super aggressive, like tactical racing every weekend, like you cannot beat that.
Yep.
How hard we were pushing each other, at practice every day. And then, there was the team racing side of it. And to me, that was the most fun. And that's kind of what led me into my next path in life after college.
I'm really interested in terms of that whole approach, like, because it can't have been easy coming from your little tropical paradise to Boston, because the temperature change is quite noticeable, and the whole approach to life is quite different in the Northeast. Like it is obviously sailing's a major thing, but geez, it gets cold there. Do you remember that first transition where you went, oh man, this is completely different?
Yeah, I cut my long hair, took off my do-rag, swapped it out for a dry suit, and the rest is history.
Are you just making that up or genuine?
No, that's real. Like we showed up to like the high school national championships with do-rags, and I had hair down to my shoulders, and
full rasta mode.
Yeah, but man, it was cold.
So cold.
Boston winters. We were sailing in February in Boston, and here we are in late March here in Newport, which isn't even as cold as Boston, and I don't have any dream of getting near a sailboat here right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Let alone walking outside.
I don't miss it. Yeah.
No.
Miss it.
I don't know how you'd have done it, mate. Like the level of cold that you guys experienced there, where you are there, and like where I live is kind of where you were born. It's this. It never gets cold where I live. So that whole that whole concept of going into cold weather. Like New Zealand was killing me, that Saturday, I think it was Saturday, it was the cold day, or Friday, whatever. I was freezing, and for you to go as a kid, you're probably under-resourced, you didn't know the sort of boots you needed and the gloves you needed and all that sort of furry stuff. Your first few months would have been hell.
I was a tough kid. I hated it, but I knew that everyone else was hating it that much more than me.
Oh.
And that's kind of how I thrived, I think. It was just knowing that everyone was out there being miserable, and that, like, if I just kind of got on with it, and
if I wasn't as miserable,
if I wasn't as miserable, I'd just outsail.
I love it.
Yeah, nice.
I love it. So obviously you had the most red hot debut in the world of match racing. I think once you joined 2012 and you were world champion 2013, something like that. You just came in like a bomb, mate. What happened? Did you just lit a fuse and away you went, or what? How did that go?
Pulled a few strings.
What happened? Where'd all your skills go after that? I don't know.
No.
Look at you now. Now you're getting last at events.
No.
That's that.
I guess it kind of not like, maybe a little bit like sneakily did a few events here and there, as a teenager, and kind of throughout my college sailing and
your ferry dodging.
Yeah. In my last year at university, they hosted a match race national championship title in all the universities in the United States, and did that and won that event. And but yeah, I just I loved it. I loved the team racing. I loved the boat on boat action, and I think the team racing really set me up for success in match racing in a way. And just having that boat on boat experience and being able to put someone in the back of the fleet was it was a valuable lesson and skills to have when I jumped into match racing. But what I do have to credit for a lot of my match racing success was the Chicago Match Race Center.
Yeah.
So after college sailing, I moved to Chicago. I don't know why I moved to somewhere colder than I was already in.
I was going to say, now we're going colder.
So went to Chicago, and Don Wilson had started this match race center out there, bought these beautiful boats, this massive houseboat to have our kind of clubhouse out of. And I was running the match race center and just had access to sailing the boats like nonstop, whether I was coaching or umpiring or, running practice for our membership or competing myself. I was just surrounding myself with it, and basically tried to, have it engulf my life.
We've often said how much you learn from coaching.
And then actually doing the umpiring as well is even another whole level, because then you see it from the umpire's perspective. Like that's some of the coaching I've had to do. When I'm coaching match races and they're just pushing the umpires so much, and they don't understand the psyche of what's going through the umpire's mind, and just trying to calm them down. You've got all that. Like, that couldn't have been a better apprenticeship.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was huge, yeah. And I just surrounded myself with match racing, and some of the best guys in the world came to us to train and to compete in Chicago. And I just scraped every little bit of money that I could to travel to these events and start competing at a slightly higher level. And sailing with buddies. Next thing you know, we're winning grade 2 events and getting invites and qualifying into tour events. And
beautiful. Love it.
Finally, we won the Gold Cup and the Monsoon Cup in 2012, like you said, and next thing you know, we're on the tour in 2013.
Yeah, and as I said,
phenomenal.
As a match racer, like you say, so there's a bunch of youngsters listening in trying to go and be a match racer. What do you reckon the secret to being a good match racer is?
Be a good coach.
No. I'd say that a coach can talk to you about the rules, talk to you about the tactics, can talk to you about everything, but that boat handling,
there's definitely the sailing side of it.
Sailing ability, that ability to position your boat and hold that boat and actually exercise that those rights that you've got. Or
it's a good point. Good point, Jay.
That boat control.
And I'd say, it's, try to do as much like team racing and match racing as you can. I think, one of the biggest things I try to tell like the next generation is, and which applies pretty heavily into match racing, is, go sail as many different boats with as many different people as you can. Because the whole match racing tour was based around, showing up at a new place, hopping in a new boat, with a different amount of teammates in that boat with you, and just trying to figure out, the guys that could hop in and just make it work just a little bit better than the other team. Those were the ones.
Also in the end is knowing exactly where the wind is all the time, and you can actually, control the situation around you. I mean, if you're in control, that's the key, right?
Yeah, and not to discredit and going out and sailing with the same team all the time. And that applies to every sailing that you do. Every boat you sail, the more consistent you can be with the same team, and that communication line, and your synchrony on the boat, like which we're battling with right now in SailGP.
Yep.
The longer you have that relationship with the same group of people, the easier it gets every time you step into the boat. And I had a great group with me that kind of stuck by my side and paid their own way at the beginning, and eventually we found some sponsorship and we're winning prize money, so it became worth their while. But we were scraping the bottom of the barrel, just trying to show up at events. And my buddy Hayden Goodrick and I, who he passed away, but he worked his ass off to find us the money necessary to go travel to these events. And we worked hard to keep that core group together, and everyone bought into the program, and they realized that if they buy in a little bit now, it's going to be that much sweeter when we're winning the big bucks on the tour in a few years.
I think.
Do you think? Sorry, Jay. Do you think? Skipping to the younger generation. Do you think the pathway now is kind of not so much paved, but possibly more difficult? Like there's more people actually seeing people like yourself and people that have gone through the hardships. Now there is a definite path because there is media, there is sponsorship, there is all these things happening. And do you think do you think that that's sort of happening now with the younger generation?
I think it varies where you are and where you grew up. I know we're having a bit of issues with that in the US right now with the funding and the sponsorship and kind of the financial backing for a lot of our Olympic athletes. And it's I think there's other countries that it's a lot easier to get them to get the funding that you need to go compete internationally and compete against the best, and to get to that next level. It varies, and I think it varies country to country with really the type of sailing that you're trying to get involved with. Back in the day, obviously, New Zealand was very good at kind of creating this pathway and this next generation of match racers, I would say. And their keelboat program was phenomenal. And so I think that just if it doesn't exist, if the I guess the pathway doesn't exist in the area that you're living, there's always a way to create your own pathway. Like it didn't really exist for us, and we just worked for every minute we could get to try to just build and find that money and keep pushing.
I dare say there's some pretty talented sailors still back in the Virgin Islands that didn't take your path, and they're still there, and they've not become professional sailors. I'm sure that's probably the case.
Yeah. Again, like I said, it's incredible to see the talent that's come out of the small yacht club down there, and the different paths that everyone has taken, and the amount of like just national, world, continental championships that the St. Thomas Yacht Club is collected as a whole is, competing with probably some of the best clubs in the world. So we're lucky to have that little gem growing up, and to kind of always just see that next generation, popping up, and then, raising some eyebrows, and just kind of taking their own path.
Do you get back there much? Do you get back to the yacht club much?
Not enough. I try to get back usually two to three times a year. I have a little niece down there now, so it gives me that little extra push to get back and see her. And but man, when I go back to show up to the yacht club and just remember the good days, and to see how beautiful it is down there, and you wish you could just tell those little Opti sailors like how lucky they are. You can tell.
This is my point. This is the point. This is the point I was going to say. When you get back to that club, do these young Opti sailors know who you are? Do they say, "Oh, he's Taylor Canfield"? Oh, cool. I'm sure they would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they necessarily know. Unfortunately, my face is plastered, on a massive, I don't even know, poster on the wall in the yacht club. But it's cool. The coaches down there, try to do they try to make sure that the Opti sailors down there are recognizing kind of, what they're, I guess
could be doing,
have achieved. And
yes, absolutely.
The older generations from the club have gotten to, and how, I guess just how hard everyone's pushed to get to where they are. And I think that is something really cool about that club, is like, there's such a pedigree and a history now of just, some great sailors that have come out of there, that, the kids have something to, to work towards, and to, aspire to be, which is super cool.
Mate, you've had the chance to travel the world, go sailing everywhere. Have you got a favourite spot you've ever sailed? Like a location to go for a yacht?
I mean, if you've never sailed in the Virgin Islands,
no.
He hasn't stepped outside.
I knew that answer was coming. I knew that answer was coming.
It'd be silly to say anywhere but there, but
okay. Let's rephrase the question, Taylor. Outside of your hometown, which is your favourite place in the world to sail?
I love it.
Actually, just across the bay. In St. John.
Oh, come on.
No.
No, that's good. I like it.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I mean, geez, you go to places like San Francisco and Lake Garda, and Sydney Harbor, and it would be so hard to pick one of these places.
That's right.
That's okay.
I'm just interested if something there's like we always crap on about Port Vincent on this show, which is this little tiny country town where we all sort of met. It's the most perfect sailing water in the world, like set up. It's got a little caravan park. It's got one bar, one pub, and a yacht club. That's it. And there's about 200 people live there. And it's like the most perfect sailing setup in the world, and we just love it. And so, whether it was this little hidden gem you've got where like everything's just perfect, like you go there to do a regatta.
We'll have to do a swap. You come to St. Thomas, I'll come there, and then we really.
I'm keen. I'm heading that way. Definitely heading that way in the next next 6 months or so. So.
All right. What about boats? What about, you've sailed a lot of different boats. Are there any boats that you really love, or something unique that you've sailed that we probably haven't heard of?
Oh, that you haven't heard of?
Because, you Yanks got the scow thing going. Well, do I call you a Yank? I know you're part of, you can't, I've got to be careful how I phrase it, but, there's different things, in the northeast there. All that scow thing, which we really have never sailed a scow. I mean, Bill Goggins is forever crapping onto us about, and we love you, Bill. I just rephrase that. And he keeps, we're going to focus in on the scows a little bit, but you got the ice boats there, which we love, and those scows do look super cool. We've got the skiffs, you've got the scows. BVL.
Yeah, I mean, geez, I'm trying to think like all the boats that I've sailed. Would say the Volvo 65 coming across the Atlantic is probably pretty low on the list.
Yeah, Bossy would love to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that. I guess like you classify it as cool boats, and like this competitive, really good racing. And I'd say the Etchells class is up there for some of the best competitive racing you can do. But man, those boats are brutal.
Brutal, aren't they? Yeah.
I still have like a scar on my hand and a hole from hiking off that main sheet. And but yeah, it's I think back to the worlds that we won in that class, and I don't know, 2014 or something, 96 boats on the line, that it's just like all the boats are going, within a tenth of a knot, and it is just a grind. Like, you're just looking for every little inch. And oftentimes that inch that you're missing is the difference between a top 10 and a 30th. So, yeah, those close one design racing boats I think are so good.
I agree.
But then you look at these boats that we're sailing now, that the SailGP F50s are just incredible machines. But yeah, the step down from that, the M32 class is great. I love racing in it. It's a really good vibe, a lot of fun. Super physical for everyone on board. The boats are fast, exhilarating, they're light. And yeah, I think match racing wise, I think the Tom 28s would take the cake there. Super, physical, and then also just really agile. You could really throw them around, and to the point where you could kind of get caught out by throwing it around too hard and lose too much speed. So yeah, just really physical boats, and they're really rewarded, good boat handling and kinetics. And so yeah, that's a little bit of a lot for you.
You've done a lot of your match racing. You've done a lot of your teams racing, and you mentioned earlier, obviously, about the Volvo 65. Do you enjoy going offshore?
Not particularly. No. I mean, who doesn't love the feeling of their own bed, or nicely?
Well, that's right. I mean, it's one of those things,
right?
isn't it? Coming in at the end of the day and doing a bit of barker and having a beer.
Yeah, so good. But yeah, I enjoy the shorter sprints. The 600-mile races on a boat that you can do it under 3 days, or just over 3 days. Like those are okay for me. But yeah, again, I did a training leg for with the Volvo guys on the Vestas 11th hour, and it was a pretty quick trip across the Atlantic from Lisbon to Newport. But yeah, it was still 9.5 days, and it was it was a lot. I was ready to have a proper meal and a shower after day 4. So
yeah,
it's a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, we're not even halfway there. So
yeah, imagine doing it on a mini, mate.
Oh, I can't. Sorry, you're on there.
The good part is I've never done a transit landing on a mini, so that's all cool. Yeah. But no, it's but no, it is definitely one of those things, isn't it? It's a pathway thing, but no, that's the question I just wanted to ask, because people in your position who have, you've got the ability to get on any boat. I mean, that's how it is. You've got world champions underneath your belt, championships under your belt. You can go and do, you can generally get an opportunity for these opportunities. I just was curious as to what you actually loved, if you did actually love going offshore. That's all.
Yeah. Well, obviously,
I keep running through my head all these new boats that are just popping up. It's crazy.
Go on, then. Keep going. Spill them out.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. To go and sail like the classics. I just did the 12-meter worlds last year, and
love it.
To go and
you're in my territory again.
On one of those, and just think about the history and how they used to race these things with metal sheets in the America's Cup, and oh man, it's
full bore.
Yeah, every boat has its own little story, and that's I think that's what's so cool is like, again, I push this on all the young kids. It's like, just go sail as many types of boats as you can.
I actually did quite a few regattas in France on USA 9, which was the second ever America's Cup boat built in 1936, and that was an experience. Mahogany rig, boom, still wouldn't.
Imagine.
You know, 4 knots
Surprised
upwind,
the thing
4
is
knots
still
down,
floating.
4 knots upwind, 4 knots downwind.
I think we got I think we did like 12 knots on the Enterprise actually one day.
There you go.
A little scary, but
Well, yeah.
What about? I mean,
No water, no water left on the beach.
Yeah, drags it away.
yeah.
Tide's gone out.
With the where you live, like, what about the super yachts? Have you ever done any time on a super yacht? 50
I have not.
crew?
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm interested yet.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I just
I
wondered.
like that comment.
Yeah.
Yet.
I not ready for my sailing to slow down that much yet, I don't think.
No, definitely not. And I suggest don't.
Was just talking to a buddy that just got back from St. Bart's, and to hear his stories about just everything going on, and just what it takes
polishing stainless.
Yeah, I mean that side of it definitely doesn't. It's not very fun, but to like just hear his stories about how big the gear is, and just making sure that someone doesn't die on one of these things.
Yeah,
really,
that's it. I agree.
It's probably the biggest challenge. And
yeah.
So I know there's a lot to it, and it's a kind of a different style sailing, but it's cool to hear his stories about it, and it actually made me, that made me that little bit more interested, but still I don't know if I'm there yet.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we're sort of coming near the end, so let's top and tail with the GP. Obviously, the boats are on their way to Bermuda, which is the next stop, early May. I'll be in Florida at the same time, so I'll yell out across the water and say good day. Okay. With your boat, like, it was pure carnage in Christchurch. Much damage to your boat, mate?
A bit.
Just a bow.
Yeah, they might need a new bow and a new portion, a new 8 feet just behind the bow. But yeah, it got a little banged up for sure. It was kind of an unexpected, unavoidable collision that we had with the Canadians. Obviously hate crashing boats, unless we're match racing.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate, and the boat did take a pretty good bang, and to see them cutting an 8-foot hole in the side of your boat when 20 minutes after the thing's out of the water is not fun to watch. But the reality is they got to get the basically wet core out of the boat as quick as possible, and make sure that it's not going to do damage to the rest of the hull. So there's definitely some work to do, and I think other teams probably have a bit more, which we're fortunate in that sense.
So I was just going to say for the listeners, I just want to explain the F50s are carbon skins with an aluminium honeycomb, and so if you put it away wet with a hole in it, that is not going to be pretty
yucky.
Yep. So
carbon, aluminium, and salt water.
Yeah. So sorry to speak over you there. Continue on, BP. You were going to ask something.
Oh no, that's okay. I was just going to say that the SailGP's sort of it's been people are pushing harder. People are pushing a lot harder now, and it's been sort of promising to happen for a while. And there's been close quarters, if you like. But this weekend in particular seemed to be very close. And obviously with
who was
Tom's
the villain
incident.
Who was the villain? Who was the one doing all the damage? Hey,
Phil Robertson.
Oh no! That's what I wanted you to say.
Yeah,
he was banging into everyone. Anyway,
it's a bit of a trend. I think you could ask most of the sailors in the fleet, but he seems to attract a lot of close calls in the league right now, and he's pushing it hard, and they're doing well, but at the same time he's doing a lot of damage and leaving a lot of broken parts in his rearview mirror.
Well, you guys, you've got a long history because obviously match racing circuit against each other a fair bit. So, you know, he's just bringing out some match racing techniques, perhaps. I don't know. But they're fragile boats. They're fragile boats.
Yeah, and dangerous boats at those speeds, you know.
Yep.
And you like to be the tough guy and say that you're not afraid out there. But when a boat smashes into you, you're doing 30 plus knots.
Well, I mean,
It's real. Like people,
you know, touching on Tom's incident, you know, he was clearly shaken. I did actually have the opportunity to have a little chat to him afterwards, and he was shaken. You know, like he had to make a decision, and he did. And his decision was obviously he knew that you know, racing rules wise, in apostrophe, he was in the wrong, but he had nowhere to go, and he just had to do it, and it shook him up. He was pretty shaken.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's full on, and you know the fact that hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage was done at this event is pretty tragic. You know, it's not. I don't think it's the reputation that you know the league wants, and I don't think it's the reputation that it should have. So I think everyone, hopefully, it's a little reality check for the fleet after this event, and everyone realizes, you know, that you're thinking about now with the T foils about to come out, and it's getting faster, and it's getting more dangerous with the appendages sticking out the sides of the boats now. So
yeah,
well, I mean, Tom's decision was purely based on piercing through the back of the Canadian boat and literally potentially killing people, and so that's what his decision was based on.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for the decision he made, and yeah, he's taken it, you know, a pretty tough blow from a point standpoint from the league. But
for sure,
you look at it and you're saying, oh, he's unlucky and he's getting it. You know, they may have been too harsh, but at the same time, they're trying to set a precedent to, you know, not crash these boats. It's expensive and it's dangerous, and you know, if they you know, you penalize someone enough and that many points, like hopefully they're going to stop doing it.
You're right with the T4, mate. That thing is just a weapon. That looks like, I mean, the weight in a cord, depth on it, so she'll go right through. It's like a blade. It's hanging out the side. It's titanium. Have you had a chance to sail on it yet? Do you get any idea what it's going to feel like?
I have not sailed on it, but all reports from a control and speed standpoint are, you know, all positive. The boats are allegedly going to go, you know, close to 3 to 4 knots faster, I was told, and
Jesus,
and and you'll have, you know, way more control at higher speeds.
Yeah, you should have more. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the flight control will get a little bit easier, as I mentioned. That's great news, because that was not an easy task.
No, very cool.
Wow,
eh?
Wow, eh? Yeah.
All right, so just to finalise this whole discussion, my friend, obviously for you guys with the US SailGP team, you know, you've got to get that teamwork together. How long do you reckon it's going to take? When will you win, your first event? When will you win the series? That's the, you know, obviously you're a competitive dude. Like, you must have a dream.
No pressure, Taylor.
No, you don't have to stick. You can tell me to piss off. I got no issue with that. But, you know, like, you obviously have got a goal of, you're not there to come last. You're not there to just sort of fill a spot. You want to be dominant. I guarantee that you're in the back of your mind, you want to dominate the event. So I'm interested.
Yeah, I think I think that when we're sailing at our best, we can compete. We talked about, we walked away from this event in Christchurch, and we think that we sailed at probably 40% of our potential.
Yep.
And we said that probably at 80% of our potential, we're in the race. Yep. We can get, we can win races, I would say, with a good start and everything, lining up well. And it is really hard to know, but I like to think that we're on a good path to be competing at the top more regularly. And when that'll all come together, perfectly on an event, I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is how great the progression has been so far with the team. To think that we're only 5 days into foiling, and despite our mistakes and our kind of lack of execution in Christchurch, we're sailing around the course doing dry laps, and we're having some good starts, and we're just knocking at the door. So it's only a matter of just putting it all together that we're in 5 races in a row that we're gonna start making these finals and kind of knocking at that top spot.
Absolutely love it, mate. We got you back. Love it. We're fully behind you. So just keep doing what you're doing. I'm sure that it'll all come together for you. So smash it.
Yeah, no, we're pushing hard, and we're kind of, I guess, trying to get some American sailing back in the spotlight a little bit, which would be cool to see. So I know everyone talks about how bad our country is at sailing, but hopefully we'll start turning some heads here shortly.
I genuinely believe the US is coming through again. Like I think there's it's a groundswell, and I think that people might be a bit surprised with the old red, white, and blue in the next year or two, even at the Olympics.
Yeah,
I think
we got a few good youth in the pipeline as well that kind of are just under the radar, not quite showing up on the professional or Olympic scene yet. But I think there's going to be some good kids in the pipeline coming up, and old guys like me are going to have to step aside for them pretty quickly.
Yeah,
guys like you, Jesus Christ! You might have to be a podcast host.
Start
soon,
a podcast.
Oh, geez. Be one of you guys. Sounds horrible.
Oh, fuck. Thanks, mate.
I'm kidding.
All right, mate. We'll leave it there.
All good, buddy. All good. Like I said, good luck, and just stay focused and just keep smashing it. All good.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure, and let us know next time you're in the US, and hopefully get you sailing in the Virgin Islands soon.
What I love about these SailGP crews, guys and girls, is all of them are pretty well down to earth, and I just really enjoyed that chat. Yeah. Not knowing Taylor, not ever meeting Taylor before, it just was just easy. He had fairly humble beginnings in terms of where his sailing come from to realizing that he had this talent and then following the dream. And I like that about that interview. It was good.
Yeah. Taylor and I are kicking the footy in Christchurch and showing him the Aussie techniques. He was quite interested. Actually, it was good fun.
Mate, seriously, how were you kicking the footy?
Well, they had a rugby
AFL
ball
style or
no. Like he
style?
was holding it at the back, right? And I was saying because he was trying to kick a torp and he was holding it right at the back, and I said, well, in Aussie rules, like we need to keep our hand centered so you can drop it into a drop pun or you can roll it into a torp. And I was just showing him how to do it, and just kicked 2 beautiful kicks, one a torp and one drop punt. Hadn't kicked a ball in about 20 years, so I was very lucky. And then
lucky you didn't do a driver or something, mate.
Well, then
stepped away at that time.
And the American football got dropped into my hand, and he said, throw that. And I went, pfft, and it was like the most perfect tight spiral. And I've just gone, now I'm walking away. Like it was just, everything was perfectly fluke. But anyway, it was good fun. But yeah, good fun hanging out with him. Really interesting. I really liked his passion for his home yacht club, and he rolled really. I reckon that whole element where he talked about rolling the dice and his mates all just putting every dollar into it and doing it. It was just bloody brilliant.
Well, I mean, we bang on about it all the time, don't we? How else, it's you gotta have the drive, and if there's a way, and if there's a will, there's a way type of thing, isn't it? And that's a particularly standout point from that interview. It was good.
Yep. What is also good is, of course, our relationship with Radix Nutrition. We got a great email, boys. Do you want me to read that, or one of you guys want to jump on that one?
Well, I think read it out. But
Okay.
I think what I like about it is how versatile Radix is. So go on.
All right. Ian Westlake, thanks for the email, bud. Huge fan of the show and the Radix. Just completed the Pitwater to Cost race of Perseverance. Got to say, the Radix helped us stick it out. So, like 4 boats, I think, 3 boats. 4 boats finished the whole event. It was just no wind, and it drew out and out.
Yeah.
After a few sherbets in the cockpit as the bar was closed and an hour in the cot, it was off on the 6:30 a.m. XPT to Sydney for another 9 hours of windless conditions. Luckily, I'd stashed some Radix in my kit bag, unlike young Nick, our new marsman, who went for the toasty from the food cart. He had no chance. And there's a picture of one passed out Nick and Ian just obviously celebrating. So, and Radix sharing, he's got the Blueberry 400 range.
Got in the 400 range,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, the Blueberry Breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Just looking jovial, just ready for a few hours sitting on the train.
What a great,
Fighting fit.
So-
Fighting fit.
great.
Westy, love your work.
Love your work, mate. Good job. So, of course, if you do want to grab some of the Radix Nutrition, just go to their website and just use Bar Karate as the code for a discount on us. And, enjoy and hope it treats you as well as it's treated Ian. Righto, boys. Let's just move on. A few things coming up quickly. Sailfest Newcastle starts this week. So 3 days of sailing in Newcastle, inshore, offshore, all sorts of stuff going on. It's fantastic little venue. Newcastle's a great city, beautiful city actually, and yeah, definitely worth jumping on board for that one. I don't know if you guys are across that. They've got the Cock of the
I am
Harbour.
across it, and I'll be on a flight on Thursday, heading there with the mighty SMB.
Ah, there you go.
So
I was
I
gonna
look
ask
forward to
if you were
being
right.
part of. How's this? 11 TPs will be taking part because
Yeah,
it is the, of course, the IRC Nationals as
Yep.
well.
Mm.
So 11 TPs, which is
It's pretty
that's
good.
actually pretty cool.
very cool.
Yep.
So
Great, cool.
No question.
No question. We did have as an event coming up the Flying Dutchman Worlds, but we didn't publish last week, and it's been and done in St. Petersburg Yacht Club in Florida, which I'll probably go and knock on the door and say good day in about a month's time. I'm
Hey.
gonna
hate you send your boat to the wrong St. Petersburg. We've played that joke before.
done that joke. I might for those who
Especially
are
a
members,
Flying Dutchman.
I think Davies
Well,
Bay
you can get
and
it.
St. Petersburg, I'm going to come knocking on your doors in early May just to say good day. Congratulations to the Commodore, boat named Commodore, Kai Ludke and Kai Schäfers from Germany. Then the Hungarian team I'll give up on that one. I apologise. I've got a great Hungarian mate. He'll kill me when he hears this. Demokis and Machenial. And then the next German team of Phoenix with Koenig and Bracken. So congratulations, FDs. Still love you. Great to see you out there going for it, and well done. And then the other one, of course, upcoming, we just missed the WASP US champs, but they're in Hawaii. So everyone was a winner from that one. But yeah, just thought I'd quickly publish those. And then in terms of moving forward, we probably should just talk about the Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week, brought to us by our friends from Vycobi. Remember, if you do send in the best correspondence with us, you will win $200 for a month. You will win $200 Aussie worth of fabulous Vycobi gear, including their fantastic new trap belts and hiking pants. Right, there you go. Right, okay, shall we go through them, boys?
Yeah.
We shall.
First one, Ian Tomo Thompson and the team from Jaybird. So we spoke to Annika and Tomo. Great interview, a lot of fun. Tomo was sort of alluding to, he couldn't tell us some of the stories, but there has been the announcement with Early Race Week of two big sponsors. One is Ocean Dynamics, which is a private charter company up there. They're providing a great, huge, cool boat, so all the media crew going up there can have a great time. And then Mount Gay Rum is coming on board.
Yeah.
And so you go to Early, you get the Mount Gay if you win your divisions. The Mount Gay hats are back.
The famous red hats are back.
The caps are back. So enter and you get a cap. And, big sponsorship for Early. And as this is Easter, as we record this, we're also doing a little plug with the Jaybird team where you can win a crew spot on their team at Airlie by simply taking a video of a photo of you doing a rum bunny this Easter, which is where you chew the ears off a lint bunny and then put a shot of Mount Gay in there. And the winner is the most creative one that will be announced on the Bar Karate podcast Sunday the 14th of April.
So far, One Sport and Gents is having a big crack at it.
I've got the top shelf Black Barrel Mount Gay out.
He's eyeing a ride. On the Jaybird.
Oh, I can get a free. I don't need to win. It'll be someone else, so we're good with that. But
the J Dog going for a ride on the Jaybird, having down to Rum Bunny.
That's my wife's
Smashing
nickname.
Some rum bunnies.
Smashing some run bunnies, boys. But anyway,
no, but get on that, listeners, because if you are in the area and you want to go for a sail, it'll be a cracking week. TP52, obviously.
Yeah.
Good fun.
And there's a great one, Phil Shearer from Commodore. Okay, so the Tauranga Yacht Club will be serving rum bunnies at our closing day pirate party on Friday, which has just been. I'm trying 4 different rums in the bunnies to find the best options. The things you do as a Commodore.
And 4 different types of rums in the bunnies.
He's got 4 bunnies with it.
Clearly, the as a Commodore ship, I had to reach out also back to them and just, mate, how cool. That is commitment to your cause.
Oh, it's great. It's absolutely great. The other one that I quite liked, boys, is we got an email from Fabian Haraldson. So this whole conversation we had with the Jaybird, Ocean Crusaders Jaybird team was pretty freaking good because it sparked a lot of debate. And we got a huge number of people reaching out. But Ep252, this is Fabian. My ears grew when you mentioned Volvo Penta, where I'm working. The segment on how senseless starting the engine to charge batteries, etc., is so true. Doing so wears out the engine prematurely because charging does not put enough load on it. If said engine is also turbocharged, it's even worse. Thanks for a great podcast. Thank you for a great informative email, mate. That was absolutely cracking email. So very beneficial to our listeners. I didn't know that, boys. I didn't realise it wore the engine out a bit more. So I learned something. You guys are smarter than me.
Well, it's a bit like us, Jordan Spencer. We need the load to perform at our best, And we definitely put ourselves, well, actually, and that includes yourself, your good self, Brett Perry.
Well, we don't
require that load.
We don't like to sit at idle. We don't like to sit at idle, do we,
boys? And whilst you're bantering on, we've got Ross Vickers sent us on Instagram the Land Rover's prayer. Our Land Rover, who art on the side of the road, hallowed be thy name. Thy triple. Oh, come back. Oh no, come back. I've lost it. Hang on, I'll have to replay it.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
No.
On earth as sorry.
Here we go.
It is Sunday.
Okay. Our Land Rover, who art on the side of the road, hallowed be thy name. Thy AAA come, thy engine replacement be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our extended warranty and forgive us our purchases as we forgive those who hold our purchases against us. And lead us not back to the dealership, but deliver us from the check engine lights. For thine is the luxury of off-roader, the supercharged power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Perfect for Easter. I just thought you boys would enjoy that.
I like it.
Everyone takes the piss out of you, boys. I love it.
Oh, no, I'm just glad I can add to some of the banter that goes back and forth. Crocs, Land Rovers, whatever the case may be.
It's on fire. You're a cultural icon. There will be a statue right next to Slingers. Ole, 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 ole.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. It's hot time with Bice.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. One thing I didn't do there before you start, Bice, is I didn't say who was the best. Did we decide who was the best out of that one, or they were all fantastic?
Completely missed the.
They were into the batch anyway, right?
Yeah, they're all in the batch.
Or are we at the end?
It's only the monthly winner that counts, and that'll be announced next week if I remember.
Yeah.
Love a good rum bunny, though. Love a good rum bunny.
Yeah, there were some great conversations. All right, sorry, bud. You're in charge.
Antigua Super Yacht Cup. at time of last recording, it was mid regatta. I think I'd just spoken to you blokes about we tipped a friend of the super yachts off the back of the boat in a out at sea burial, which I thought was very appropriate. And
Quite a unique start to a regatta, Bicey.
There was the odd person on the Maximus that we went out to that hadn't listened to the podcast. They got onto it, and I'd been crapping on about this, and we heard what you said about Stan and all this sort of stuff. So that was a bit of it was kind of cool. It was
very cool,
really good. Anyway,
geez, our listener base has gone through the roof after your week on the boat.
Maximus,
46 new podcasters.
Exactly. So
we got quite a few from New Zealand SailGP. I'll give you the strong tip. Anyway, continue on.
There's a couple of boats that are timeless, I'd say.
Yep.
And there's one boat which is absolutely timeless. The Baltic 65 Hataris, Dykstra design, is phenomenal vessel. Like, no matter which, it's kind of that modern classic look, if that makes any sense. Ketch, they sail it extremely well. They've gone out, they've dominated the Caribbean series season, and it's a beautiful boat to see going around the racetrack. I mean, we're talking a 220 odd foot boat, 200 odd ton getting around the racetrack. They're sailing it like a 50 footer was kind of 20 years ago. So they took out the Antigua Super Yacht Cup as well as St. Bart's. So well done to Hataris, all the crew on board. They sailed it magnificently. But, one of the cool things with this, and just to explain how the bucket works, it's more that pursuit race type style. So you get a time to start and, to keep all the big boats away from each other, just due to, that severe wealth, what's going on out there. Yeah, big, and we're talking big gear. But one of the stats that they took was the closest to your starting time. For example, BP, your skipper of Hataris, you have to be at the start line at 12:37:48 seconds. You have to do that. But what they did is get everyone's average or everyone's delta from each day. And that was an actual prize at the end of St. Bart's. From memory, I think Hanneman, our good mate, Tony Mutter, skipper of the boat, I think they took that away with a stellar crew on board. And I've got to say, big shout out to all the pro yachties in this game, because it's bloody cool, and we're getting these huge things around the track, which is awesome in itself. But yeah, just going back, Hataris pretty much did a fantastic effort, took it out. Happy people everywhere, so well done to them.
Very cool.
Jordan Spencer.
Yeah.
SailGP.
Oh.
You were there.
Oh, boy.
You saw it. I'm not sure where to start.
Okay.
I've got a few things to talk about. No, let me start, and then maybe you can just actually give some clarity on a few things. Number one, SailGP on the lot, friend of the show.
Oh, yeah. Jody Shields.
Jody and a couple of his good mates.
Yeah. Chris Steele and Anna Wilcox. Yep.
Yep, correct. So how's this? So it must have been like 11 at night. We'd probably just finished putting a batten in a jib or something like that. So I've just
started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
4 p.m.
Didn't drop it overboard. I do that. That's why they never get me to do that, Shane.
So I managed to, put the earpods in, start checking it, just listening in what was going on. And it happened to be day one, was the day of the Dolphins.
The Dolphin Day.
But regardless, I managed. This is almost the same as when I dialed into you, Jordan Spencer, when you were calling the World Sailing, when you spoke about the fin going around, sailing the fin going around the finish mark. Jody, he's like, not sure if you've heard about it, but this sailing podcast called Barkarati. And then did we not get the best commentary? I think it was Anna. She was just said, look, guys, We've been crapping on here for about 2 or 3 hours. There's no wind. I really need to go to the toilet. And then the boys had a bet how long she was going to the toilet for.
So
that's filling time.
Jody took it out though. He said, "Hey, mate, I live with enough women. I'll guarantee you it's within 3 minutes." And they're like, "Oh, it's 2:56,"
yeah.
and she walks back in. Well, 2:59. I've got it. Jody wins. I've got the best 5 minutes of commentary you could imagine.
I love it.
Shout out. Jody Shields.
Just for the listeners, so SailGP Unlock is you can turn your TV down when you're watching it and you can stream that commentary if you want to get more specific sailing commentary. They're not going to talk in kilometres an hour. They're not going to be politically correct. They're not going to hold back. So Jody and Chris and Anna are just doing a commentary alongside the broadcast. And don't worry, boys. I asked the technician how we can do it for Baccarati for other events as well. So there's a bit of technology.
Just some serious good stuff going on there.
Yep,
so well done, Judge, for kicking that off. That is bloody good stuff. And I was actually having a bit of banter with him at the time over a bit of Messenger. Cool. But okay, going back to the actual event itself. All right, talk us through it, Jordan Spencer. You were there for practice day. You were there for Dolphin Day. And then you were there for
Dolphin Day.
Final day. And we saw the Aussies,
Carnage.
Never seen a Roo to mark. Well, there you have it.
Fully mounting the mark, yeah. What can I say? Practice day was, we saw, I think, GBR in Spain. There was a penalty for GBR for a little touch on Spain. There were so many near misses on that practice day.
We discussed this, didn't we? Yeah. Like how this weekend seemed to all come together, bottleneck, with some really, really interesting situations.
Okay, I got a conspiracy theory for you, boys. Dolphin Day. The night before, Coetzee went on their TV and has gone, we're never coming back to Christchurch. And some of these special interest groups have just made it impossible to come here. Like, put the boot in, right? Absolutely put the boot in. Now, the way SailGP works, they've got, in Christchurch, there's a dolphin management plan. It's there's the interested party because it's a dolphin sanctuary, and then you've got SailGP. So there's an independent person that makes the ruling whether to sail or not. So Russell's put the boot into everyone, and
pissed him off.
I reckon basically just pissed everyone off because they've just gone, well, you can say whatever you want, but we'll show you who's boss. So that's my conspiracy theory. There was supposedly a dolphin around. I didn't see it, but I wouldn't see it because I was off the water. But that's just a conspiracy theory rumour that I heard floating around. Because, of course, the very next day, hours before even sailing was going to be underway, there was an all-clear message sent out hours before sailing saying they were all out of the harbour. Yeah, it was no stress. So obviously somebody went and
either a shitload of cash changed hands or... the Dolphin Society is now moving into a new mega complex.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so Russ was not happy. They definitely won't be going back to Christchurch. He's definitely not happy, and when he cuts something off, it stays cut off. Sunday, holy shitballs! How's the carnage? Every boat's trashed. Like, they're all trashed. The US boat, the British boat, the Canadian boat was basically split almost down that whole starboard hull. They just were bumper boats off everyone.
So what do you put this down to, Jordan?
Phil Robertson couldn't see over the
no
the steering wheel.
The actual carnage. Is it because it is the amphitheatre that everyone wants to see, and the congestion at that particular mark?
Well, let's be honest.
Or is it, here's another conspiracy for you. Russell's like, fuck, the Dolphins have taken over for one day. We actually need to turn this shit up right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Start crashing these boats, turning it into an absolute spectacle. Hey, how often did you go to the races with the old man? Right? Yeah. It was cool watching them going round and round. But how much did you watch Demolition Derby? Way more.
Mate, Speedway Park on a Friday night.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I don't know that order went out. Obviously, the Danes lost their bow as well, and there was a lot of carnage, a lot of damage, and of course the Aussie team there, full crossbeam, took the impact of that mark. So you can see Tom quite clearly steering it as
you can see that. You can see the decision being made.
Yeah.
On the helm if you look at it.
Yeah. So they're all just all jokes. Sorry, Phil, I was just having a joke, mate. But in terms of just the whole element of they're all just so desperate to get ahead. One thing I don't understand why those marks are sitting there. Like they're mobile.
Well, this topic came up quite a lot
put
during
them
the week.
above the reaching angle. Like
I was reading it, and it's in the end the onus, and Tom explained it beautifully. He knew that he was in trouble.
But why haven't they?
And he.
Well, it was
this is the point.
And I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, it's going to take an absolute major to change some serious rules here. And luckily, it wasn't a major. And I'm talking about people here. Fortunately, it was only equipment, and that can all be fixed. But
it was a decision that he made to not basically go through the middle of the Canadian boat.
We might actually have to put one of those think clouds above his head on his statue.
Those finish marks have got. There's no need for them.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah, they weren't even in their finished position. They're just sitting there. And they
were right at the job. There was nowhere else for anyone to go.
They could have been further up the course where they come reaching in, they won't be in the way, or they could be down below that bottom mark and then come into the finish. So they're just in the wrong. I don't understand it. But anyway, massive carnage, lots of boat damage. Boats damaged up the yin yang. They've got just over a month. So first week of May in Bermuda. I don't know.
It's only about 3.5 weeks to ship them there. So they should be good. 3 days fixed.
No, they're all going damaged. So they've all had their skins pulled off. And so because they're an aluminium honeycomb, you can't leave any water in them. So all the damaged bits have all had. But the Canadian, that whole starboard hull is basically toast. If you can't tell me that's not toast. It's like where the foil, this right through the structural foil element where all that loading goes. So that side's toast. The good 8 foot of the US boat's toast. Like there's a lot of toast.
And you know what I've always said, BP, nothing worse than some aluminium toast. She's no good. You put some aluminium in the toaster, she's no good.
Bit of Vegemite should be fine.
Just, when you put metal in your mouth, that feeling.
Yeah. But how about the winners, Jordan? Talk to us about the winners. The winners and the grinners.
Winners and the grinners? Yeah, well, I mean, New Zealand were just fast. It's really evident. Australia and New Zealand and France are really hitting their straps most of the time. The Danes are onto it. But when you actually look at some of the data, it's the accuracy of coming through their manoeuvres. So they're able to come out of their manoeuvres higher foiling, or when you look at the data, which I was able to do, there might be more variance from some of the teams at the height they come off out of attack. How far they've dropped down on their foil versus, the others. And it's the leading top teams, New Zealand, Australia, the teams are at the front, way more accurate on their execution. And it's all about the teamwork, 100% about the teamwork. And because it's so hard to do, like one mistake, one little change throws everything. But yeah.
Well, the teamwork's the dream work.
Makes the dream work. That's it. The Kiwis are on fire. They're probably going to win this year, which I think I tipped at the start of the year. So, a couple of $1 million rolling my way.
Actually win the points or the mill?
The whole thing at the end. We'll see. We'll see. The Aussies are...
All right.
Yeah, well, it depends who gets the boat. Yeah.
So, we've got a few weeks up our sleeve to totally analyse what's going to happen coming into the final couple of the year.
Yeah.
But
4 more events.
Boys, one of our favourite classes, of course, on the show is the Etchels. And there's 2 magnificent things to talk about.
Yeah.
One is the winner of the Worlds, the Magpie, with GT James Mayo and, of course, Rich Allison, friend of the show, who took it out very nicely. So well done to them. They could have lost it on the last day if it was a complete cock-up, but it wasn't. And they went out, won it convincingly. GT's been at it for many years. And so a big shout-out to them, big shout-out to everyone, actually, who competed in Perth.
Come on.
Now, the more controversial side of it, of course, is the Mold 11s,
Yes.
which I've been quite vocal in actually and not being as serious as some people may think. But what I have seen come through, and maybe I missed this earlier, but apparently, and taking nothing away, absolutely nothing away from GT and the team, so the word was the Mold 11 mods that were going to be done, and that have been done, and then there was going to be an assessment at this Worlds as to whether the Mold 11 with the mods would continue on.
Correct.
That has now been extended.
Correct.
Extended to Melbourne.
To the Melbourne Worlds. In the meantime, though, what they're going to do is do a replication of the testing that took place initially to define what the mods were, what were the Mold 11s to now the current boats, which was a bunch of tow tests and a whole, plethora of different things. So that'll be taking place over the next however long. It's quite public.
Another couple of years.
Just check it out. But basically that whole Mold 11 thing, as to whether they'll be accepted, I don't know if this is good or bad or indifferent, to tell the honest truth. But, it'll go through to Melbourne Worlds. So stand by.
Obviously, there was a fair bit of insight into the event, and a very cool results, obviously, with all that were there. But one thing that stood out, and this was the words from my ex team, Great White Hunter, who is a Mold 11, the professionalism of GT, James, and Richie, with Ian coaching, and he reckons they were doing, ice baths and focusing and training, and it was a next level. Not one single thing was left aside. And that was a really interesting...
That's actually why I've got an issue with the whole fucking thing, to tell you the honest truth. It's an etchel. You sit on the side. Who cares? Buy a 10 grand boat. Go for a yacht. Get in the top 5 at the Worlds, top 10 at the Worlds. This is my thing about it all.
Yep.
Got way too professional. No, and again, take nothing away from the guys, because GT, we're going to get him on the show, and he's going to tell us all about it. He's going to tell us about his ice baths and drinking schooners out of the ice bath. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, I tell you, boys, on Dolphin Day at SailGP, like one of my roles at SailGP has me listening in during the racing. I can listen into any of the teams and their coaches, and I can, do that. And I can say on Dolphin Day there was an awful lot of banter going on around the racecourse, discussions on the boats, and I could switch between whatever boat, and I just happened to catch a few conversations where the actual Worlds was being discussed and some pretty strong views were made. But I won't say who or what, because I don't want to burn anyone. But the Etchels were being discussed at the SailGP in Christchurch. Yes. Who won? Oh, no. No. What? So what happens in response here? Okay.
No, but no. Again, well done to everyone that took part in the Worlds. They had, and I must admit, I was a bit blown away in the conditions that they got. They got wind, they got no wind, they got shifty, they got a whole bunch of different things. Our good friends in Doosan, Snowed and Mitten sailed out of their skin, super unlucky, probably won the jib for the mid-fleet. But sorry, that's not derogatory at all. But they were unlucky in coming into the last couple of races and had a UFD, I believe, which, there
was a lot of that. There was a lot of it.
A lot of that going on. Anyway, that's Etchels. That's cool. Carrying on. Next, boys, Brisbane Gladstone just finished.
Oh, yeah.
All boats across the line. Wild Thing 80 or 100 or whatever it is. 80-foot rig for a 100-footer boat.
Yep.
best paint job, according to Tony Mutter, on the water. I kind of tend to agree. Took out line honors. Looks like Celestial are the winner on IRC.
Yep.
Just ahead of Alive.
Correct.
I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And first, and I was listening into your commentary, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe you call them catamarans. Oh, but no, multi-hulls.
Multi-hulls, yeah.
Were you told to say that?
Oh, it's a multi-hull race, so I just realised. No one tells. Big Grant, who organises the whole thing, he's pretty laid back guy, and he wants it to be fun. He wants everyone to enjoy the broadcast, not be super serious. So he's a good man. And Tempo was third. Alive was 20 minutes, I think, behind the Wild Thing across the line. So not bad, going well. I'll tell you who had a shocker though. Was one Sporden Jenser. His weather forecast coming in so confident, 15 to 20 knots sou'wester. It hasn't been anything but that. And then this Sell sat over the start.
You got so defensive during that commentary on how you absolutely cocked up the weather.
I did.
You should have just owned it.
I did. And then it went east, and then it it was just awful forecast. And then later on, it was just literally 6 hours later, just exactly what was predicted. But I completely
right in the eye
stuffed
of it.
Yeah, and then but
great job.
We won't hold it against you.
Listen in, Jay. Yourself, Grant, and Nick did a fantastic job. Well done. This is actually what more events need. Well done to Grant for actually getting the sponsorship that was required to get this to the level it is. Yeah. And it's just a good example that that's something that can happen in this world.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. It's great. Keep the event building, it's good fun. It's great fun fun doing the commentary. Cool.
Yep, good. Did you have any rum buddies?
No, I had a few beers. I did have a few beers, but it was in the morning, so the night before. But
when's that ever stopped?
Fair enough.
No, she's good. Yeah. It was all good. But anything else, boss, you want to touch on?
No, that's me, mate.
Okay.
All good.
Just a quick mention that the International 1 metre Australian Champs just happened here in Oz. Congrats to Sean Wallace, then Paul Jones and Greg Torpy, who was racing Brisbane to Gladstone. He was on the 100.
Just a busy man.
Young Alex Scapins from Adelaide. We were given a tip ahead of the 1 metres just from Pete Sherwood. Just so keep your eye out for young Alex Scapins, and he got it done. So into the fourth. The reason I'm mentioning... the reason I'm mentioning it is the World Champs are in Gladstone and will be in October, late October, 20 to 28th in beautiful Gladstone. Really good venue for doing a bit of 1 metre racing, and a full live stream for the whole thing. We'll be going with full commentary team and So
have you got a gig for this one?
100%. Yeah. So doing that.
Nice. You and Grant.
And Grant, Grant's baby. Yeah, so awesome. He's doing a lot of work. Yeah. But so if you're into it, into twiddling with your fingers, here's your chance because it'll be good fun.
I can't wait to hear the commentary. I think it's going to be top notch.
It'll be good fun. It'll be really good fun. And I'm thinking of just, because I swear we're going to get a punch on at some stage, at a Worlds. You have to, don't you, in a twiddler event?
I think you should be there sort of niggling on a bit.
No, I think the commentary should be live, and you could definitely niggle it on.
Yeah.
Do you hear what Jacko said about Benno?
Accidentally leave the microphone on.
I love it. Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Right, big week.
Big week, boys.
Massive guest next week, of course, and it just continues. Thanks to everyone for listening in. It's been a ton of fun, boys. And
awesome.
Boss, how long we got you home for?
I got Newcastle Thursday for the IRC match. So
playing Monday. Yeah, we'll have to work that one out. Okay, cool. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, write to us at cheers@barkarati.com and also Radix Nutrition website, and use Barkarati as the code to get yourself a discount.
Nice work. Yeah, fellas.
Cheers. Whoa.
Sing it slow.